Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. This is the High Caliber Man podcast. This week, I'm joined by a gentleman by the name of Abu Bakr, known as Babou in the music industry. And today we're going to be exploring, some of the dynamics within the music industry, issues around the moral line, issues around the role of entertainers, the power of entertainers. But first, I just want to welcome Abu Bakr to the space. So thank you for coming through, my brother, and greetings and blessings.
Peace, my brother. How you doing, man? How's it going?
Now, all good, all good. And looking forward to this
Peace,
conversation.
peace out there to the world.
Yes, yes, because we're global, man. We're global. So yeah, without further ado, I
Yeah.
wanted to find out a little bit about your story because I know that you are Gambian,
Yes.
but you were born in Europe. And so yeah, I just wanted to maybe you could introduce yourself to the
A
audience.
little intro,
Yeah,
yeah?
by just saying a little bit about your background, your and your journey.
Yeah. All right, man. Peace out there to the world. We give thanks and praise to the Most High, and let's pray for more, can I say, more tolerant world, more peaceful. We've been doing a lot of good stuff in terms of humanitarian. I think the population in UK, man, excellent with people coming out. But in short, I just had to throw that in.
Uh-huh,
So,
no doubt, no doubt.
but yeah, so Babu, just another guy, pretty much. But yeah, I'm actually born in Sweden, born in Sweden, but first raised in Africa. So my first years, like 12 years, is spent in Africa. So it's a complete different contrast, but it kind of molds you into one when you come from two different worlds.
Hmm.
So I grew up first in Banjul, in Gambia, Banjul, the capital. And yeah, speaking of music, it's funny when you come to Europe, people are like, oh, when did you start doing music? That kind of thing. In Africa, it's not really it's a sense of like, oh, when did I start? I started when I was a teenager. Nothing like that. Because, here at school, then you start a music class, then people maybe get into music and maybe want to pursue that. But
Yeah,
there, I play from birth, like from young, it's you see every day, like anytime there's a gathering and some celebration, music's always involved. So it's part of the culture. So if that kind of and speaks to you, you naturally just attracts to it. And
yeah, yeah.
so I've been doing it from day one since I remember myself. But saying that, yeah, that's just part of a little bit of my introduction in terms of
So,
music part. But yeah,
so Gambia, you said
I'm
you grew up in Gambia. I just wanted to say
mm,
if you're not, but you probably are aware that for Black people in the diaspora, African Americans, African Caribbean people, we tend to have a special affinity for Gambia in particular in West Africa because I think of the story roots and when Alex Haley traced his family line back, it went to the
yeah.
Gambia. So there's this kind of like reverence for Africa in general, but like Gambia's got like a little, there's a bit of a deep affection for Gambia in particular. But yeah, sorry to cut your flow, brother, man. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
No, 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 no. Please jump in anytime. Let's go back to back. Let's just keep it natural. That's it. I like that because I jump in anytime I want to throw in a word here and there. Because sometimes when you're on the same page, you know when the person's gonna say it, almost you kind of get passionate and jump in. So that's all good, man. I mean, yeah, I'll say Gambia is definitely like a hub for diaspora African. I'll say even before Ghana and all these other hotspots that's now popping because I've seen like now a lot of Caribbeans also, going east because east was pretty much never the place, in terms of the history. A lot of people were definitely more focused on the West, but Africa's Africa as a whole anyway.
Indeed, indeed.
So it's good to explore all of Africa as a whole. But obviously, if we speak in like historical part from the transatlantic, obviously you'll see that's from the Sahel coming from us, Senegambia, Mali, all the way to your Cameroons and Angola to Zaire.
Yeah,
Like well
yeah.
now the Congo and so forth. I
Hmm.
like to keep the old school original name of it. But yeah, so saying that, so yeah, Gambia's made up really. Gambia's part of Senegal. It's inside Senegal. It's
Yeah.
not part of Senegal, but it was part of Senegal. and the borders made by cannons. Actually, they took cannons, the British, before they ducked out. They pretty much like, oh, we're keeping this little line. It's just a little strip you can see
Okay.
inside Senegal. So that was made by cannons. So they would do cannons on that side, turn the cannon around, shoot the other side, and that's the border. And that's how Gambia became Gambia. Gambia became Gambia because the British were losing America. You know, the civil, yeah, with the Civil War, because the America wanted to break free. So then that became Britain's focus then, and then they carved out, and created Gambia. So for me, I like to actually say Gambia, but Senegambia as well.
Yeah,
Because if
I
you
heard
trace some of my
the
roots,
historians talk
comes,
about Gambia in that way.
yeah,
Ivan Van Sertima and Renoko Rashidi would talk about Senegambia. I heard him use that phrase. I've heard
yes,
him first.
it is Senegambia. And funny enough, we became back to Senegambia when I was a kid. So it's amazing that I grew up there, but being born in Sweden, I could have been still in Sweden, but my dad wanted me to grow up in Gambia and
What was
and,
that
and kind
like
of
actually
learn my
growing up
culture.
in? What was that like growing up in Gambia and growing up in Africa? The young,
You know,
you said from 1 year old or from a very young age until 12. What
yeah,
was it?
yeah. So that's the first thing I knew. That was the life I knew. And you know, as a child, you get used to what you know, and that's your paradise. That's your, that's your society. That's the lively place to be. I mean, so okay. In answering your question, I would then compare it to something else that I've seen. Right.
Yeah.
So that would be Sweden. Coming back to Sweden, 12 years old. I'll say. Yeah, Sweden's secure, your house, everything's tidy, the country's fixed, everything's organized. But Africa, maybe someone else could have come and say, oh, these guys maybe live in slum. But we didn't see it that way. We were rich in terms of happiness and social, um, that social interaction,
I
and
hear you,
that
man. I hear you. Like the social cohesion and sense of community. Is that what am I
yeah,
understanding
and
you correctly?
yeah, and like and pretty much appreciation for the small things we have.
Yes.
I think we were more happier than the people I came than 12 years coming to Sweden. It was just sense of security there. But then there's a lot of other elements missing when everything's kind of sorted out for you and set in place. But growing up in Gambia, some of the toys we didn't have, we made those toys as a kid. And
Mm.
and I think it's very valid as a kid to actually develop and learn like arts and craft growing. It definitely kind of exercise the mind and the brain as a child,
Yeah, yeah, I hear
So
that. I hear that. As somebody
yeah, so
that's
I'll say like
passionate about
I had the
psychology, I
happiest
hear that, man.
upbringing, bro. I had the
Mhm.
happiest upbringing. We were poor, but I didn't know we were poor. For us, we were rich. We were happy. And any little thing that comes along, that's a great plus. And this lively society, we may do with the little we had, and that was pretty much life.
Yeah, yeah.
Great times,
So
great times, definitely.
Babu, you said that
Mm,
you started in music from day one. You would qualify in day one, yeah. But I'm aware
yeah,
that you work in the music industry like as a professional now. So, when did that part
yeah,
of the journey like evolve into like doing it as a profession? I'm doing this as a living. I'm meeting people like Most Def or whoever the people that you might have mixed with or met along the way or done collabs, been in the studio. Whatever.
yes.
When did you? When
Mm.
that part of the journey evolve and what did that entail?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll say, well, let me start with, okay, Sweden. I moved to Stockholm, a teenager. I think I had some of my guys, our neighbors, some of my friends in our neighborhood in Stockholm, in Solna, a place called Blue Hill. Blue Hill sort of like the Bronx of Sweden, like, because a lot of people claims that, oh, like Bronx started hip hop, the Bronx but in New York. But so Blue Hill, if you come to Sweden, say Blue Hill, they
Yeah.
know straight because a lot of the legends, like people that started early, that actually De La Souls and them knew back then, back in the like 89, 88. So
Hmm.
let me mention the name Chano Ja. Chano's Nene Cherry's brother, actually. So
Okay.
I think he's the first rapper that broke out from Sweden Yeah, like 88 or something like that. He was out. Same year as MC Light.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so they were signed on the same label. I forgot the name, something Virgin, but it was like pre-Virgin. But I forgot the name. Based in LA, so he was 16, 15,
Hmm.
and he was with it. He did stuff with it. There was a DJ from. So Scandinavia had a little few things. They had
There
a
was a
DJ
scene. There
called
was a Scandinavian hip hop scene, yeah, way back in the 80s,
yeah,
in the
yeah.
late 80s.
But yeah, but meaning like, it was still new there and kind of not known as much. Obviously, they were into buying your NWAs, Public Enemies. People be like, what? Scandinavia? Yes, definitely. Because Sweden is very Americanized, in
Okay.
terms of TV and televisions and the programs and so forth. So long story short, Channel's a good friend of, I don't want to name drop a bunch of people, but Quincy, the third, Quincy Jones' son,
Hmm.
he's half Swedish. He grew up in Sweden with Channel. So those are like big brothers to me.
Okay.
But China's the one I know more because Quincy took off back to America later. And Quincy did a lot of stuff, a lot of great stuff. People know of him. You remember the Beef DVDs and a lot of stuff. He's been involved in a lot of movies. Ice Cube, like he's Lethal Injection, like a lot of the old school stuff. He's been like that guy's a veteran, really.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in short, so Channel and him, that's they crew.
Yeah.
So they kind of are the broke out, and then you had ADL from Stockholm, sorry, from Malmö, Sweden as well. So a lot of people. That's another legend. So in short, we then us that's younger than them derive from that scene of their scene, and because we also from Blue Hill, just like Channel. So you had Chappie and Chess and some of my other guys that didn't live there, but they were part of the crew hanging as a collective.
Hmm.
And we later formed into Extra Cheese. We had a crew called Extra Cheese Crew.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was all that knew each other. Some of us were rappers, some of us were just boys, that we hang out with,
Hmm. So you,
people.
but you
So
start. So
that's how
you
we
that part of the
started.
journey, you was a performing artist, though, just for the listening audience. So,
Yeah,
right, you was
I
a performer.
slowly, a friend of mine called Joshua Chappie. People know him. If anyone say Chappie and Chess, yes, they know him in Sweden, Scandinavia.
Hmm.
Legend. That's my boy. So yeah, basically he kind of pushed me into it. Like, man, you're good. Your rap is excellent, amazing stuff. You get a great voice. You get a potential to be like one of the hardest voice in hip hop. I was like, oh wow, okay. So, just started there slowly. We then became a collective, and Exercise later evolved into hundreds, where we actually became a solidified, collective group where it's like Chappie and Chess, and you had Raji and SKD, and then you had me. I was going by Galaxy High, Babou Galaxy High, and then you had Slim Eyes. So six of us, and then two DJs that we had along, and one of our boys, DJ Stress, that was actually later signed with Rock Nation. He actually derives from that same
Oh, cool.
collective of crew.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
so we were doing a lot of stuff back when Napster came out. But we've been actually rapping since 90, me like 94, 93. I was playing around with the mic with Joshua and stuff. But 94, definitely, getting our demos and stuff like that, just doing shows and stuff.
Hmm.
95, 96, linked up with people like Jay-Z back then,
Okay. Okay.
way before Kanye, but
Hmm.
that's it. But we were kind of sticking to our hardcore because back in the 90s, yeah, like like anything that was too commercial was sort of like kind of a shunned down. Okay, it's like kind of a sellout thing,
Yeah.
even though
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we don't see it that way now.
Yeah,
So
but
we were
still, back
kind
in
of
the
more like,
nineties, it still was. What would we right in saying that it was a bit of a taboo to be too pop or too commercial?
yeah. A lot of people that are big now would have been like laughed at, right? Like honestly, bro, like we had codes. Hip hop was a culture. So what where we are now? So fast track into where we are. The culture's kind of been kind of diluted away, and I think that's also resulted to the music being kind of a dictated to all almost sounding the same. But
Okay.
back in the, you had your Craig Mack, you had your Biggie. I mean, all sounds completely different. Das Effects, none of them sound the same. Amazing stuff, and that's what music's about. And hopefully the youths would pick up on that and be more original and more creative in today's music, because definitely a change would come. You know.
Mm-hmm. So
But
you're
yeah, so that's pretty much my start journey. We were, being
and so
played a
that's your
lot
journey
in.
as a that's your journey as a performing
Yeah,
artist.
yeah, yes,
But what I'm interested in finding out about, in line with that, is that I know that you're from a faith-based background, you've grown up with a certain moral code, certain level of principles, right? But the music business is it's a business, right? And it's a place
yeah.
about people's morals or people have to make compromises or whatever the case may be, or don't make compromises, and there's a price to pay. But like, is there a
Mhm.
was there a sort of clash of your values with being a professional musician?
Definitely, definitely, definitely. I mean, I think like music, entertainment in general, anything that's sort of a corporate and control, which supposed to be artsy, something part of an expression and art, and you have to like box it up in a certain way where it needs to be put in a certain frame and fit as people in suits or executives. So obviously there would be marketing. You're gonna kind of give up certain things to get what you want in certain things. So definitely there's a lot of sacrifice. But I think like if you're willing to actually accept certain things, so it is a test. It is a test. So yeah, I'll say for me personally as a Muslim, and and just being around a lot of artists that are known, um, yeah, after a while, it gets more like, do I want this? Because, you basically give up a lot of your own freedom if you want to pursue becoming famous out there. Fair enough, there
Okay,
might be for some
okay.
other people, but I kind of, felt like, I need to kind of make a choice here. Do I want to kind of, just like Bob Marley says, don't gain the world and lose your soul, you
Oh,
know?
okay.
So
So you
that
sound like
that
you was at a crossroads. You was at a crossroads at a
Yes,
certain point.
yes, yes, big time, man. Because at the end of the day, it's you're stepping into the devil's arena a little bit,
Wow. Wow.
unless you kind of have a bit of a. And that time there was no such. I mean, now there's internet. You could be your own artist, have your own label, and build up your own following. After 5 years you're doing shows and making your own money and you're independent, then the labels comes. Back in the days it was like, oh, sign here, and people just blindly sign because it's like, oh, I just want to get my album out, I just want people to hear me. So it wasn't business minded thing. I mean, hip-hop started with hobby, and I saw a lot of artists that actually signed. For them at that time of time and space, it was just like a hobby, like, oh, I get a chance for people to actually hear me, yeah, let me just sign whatever, and
That
then we
make that
became
make that
wiser
makes
later.
sense. That makes sense, because if I could just jump in, I want to say when we
Yes,
look
please.
back, it's easy to look back. So when we look back to say the late 80s and early 90s, and when we hear these stories and watch these documentaries, they talk artists talk about how much they got ripped off and they didn't get their publishing and their intellectual, rights and all this stuff. We might look
Mm,
at them now as naive, but there's it's just good for us to take into consideration. One, there probably were
mm.
a lot of young people from working, poor and working, underserved communities
Yeah,
and working class
yeah.
communities. They were very young as well, probably didn't have legal representation. And like you said, maybe their initial objective was, I just want people to hear and
To be
appreciate
to
what
be
I do.
heard. I want to express my art, my
Yeah,
skills. I want to
yeah.
show my guys I'm good. I want to
Especially
go
as
home,
something,
play
especially as
this
something
DVD.
starting out as hip hop starting out as, I guess, a voice for the voiceless, right? Black people
Yes,
from inner city areas didn't
expression.
necessarily have all the radio stations and access to mainstream TV, right?
Mm,
So that was a kind of, I guess I've heard, I think Chuck D or something like say that it was a black man CNN,
yes,
access
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
the
definitely.
public.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, let me put it like this. It was about having fun, really. It wasn't about business, to be honest with you. It was about, oh, you want to kind of impress your crew. Same as breakdance. Everyone do a circle. the people that have enough confidence step into the middle and want to showcase what they're good at. And if you've been probably home for the past 2 weeks, try to come up with a new, different style, a twist that you want to actually show. So it was all about getting the props. It was just about getting your flowers. Like, wow, yo, you saw what it did? That's what hip hop. That's what hip hop started, really. Then obviously people said, "Oh, okay, these young kids in the ghettos actually loving this stuff. Let's make a business out of it," because the labels were not interested. They weren't having it. They
Mm.
weren't, and they thought it was just a phase that was just gonna pass within like a short frame of time.
It's supposed to be a
Yeah,
little fad for a couple of summers and then fizzle out. It just fizzle out like many fads, I guess.
man, two, three summers, and that's it. The kids are gonna get bored and maybe jump into something else. But you still get breaking going on still. It's not big, but still.
It still no,
And
it
and
does.
hip hop,
The art form does still exist.
yeah. I mean, I'll say like I think hip hop's the longest living genre in terms of music, and like the known modern music
In
that we
terms of
know.
relevancy, that's what I want to speak to you about. I want to speak to you about
Yeah.
the idea. I want to get your feedback on this, right? Because yeah,
Mm,
you
mm.
raise an important point now. Out of many genres have come along, whether it's jazz and bebop and reggae
They
and
are gone,
John, right? But they have their moment where they shine, and then they
and
sort
then
of they
yeah, then
plateau,
it
and then
dries
maybe
out.
like they're still relevant, but they are like they drop off that top spot. But like hip hop or rap or the spoken word, right?
Mm,
Dancehall
mm.
to a certain reggae dancehall to a certain degree because they're kind of like cousins, not kind of, they're cousins.
Yeah,
They're basically cousins, right? And
yeah,
they come from
yeah.
that same like family tree, but
Mm,
they both genres, but particularly hip hop, um,
mm, mm.
like really is still quite relevant or super relevant. The rapper, the spoken word artist is super influential, right? And
Man,
in
it's going
terms
to
of
be
setting
relevant for
trends.
another
And
30 years
and
to come.
and tell me, I want to get your feedback on why is that?
Yeah, can I tell you why it is? Hip hop is a melting pot. It's like you're cooking your stew. You put your okra, you put your carrots, you put your, potato, you put your this and that, right? And
Uh-huh.
spice it up, different spices. That's what hip hop is. Because it started with the young, like New York, where they were cutting off all the, like music classes and all those other extracurricular kind of
Yes,
sports, all
yes,
of this stuff
yes, yeah.
was cut off. So
Yeah.
the youth didn't have nothing to do. That gave the birth to hip
Born in
hop, bro.
Reaganomics time, in the time of Reaganomics with all
Yeah,
the cuts, with all the
exactly,
cuts.
exactly. So then from there, just like I said, in Gambia, I grew up. We didn't have like, you don't have like, oh mom, can you just order me like on August like
But there was no eBay. There was no
uh,
eBay in Gambia them times. No, no,
yeah, but even here
no
there was no
Amazon. You can't
eBay.
just
But yeah,
click and collect and
but
Amazon
then
and that.
again, but then again, you have your order catalogs here, Argos or your
Yeah,
IKEA, or your whatever stuff. Oh, mom, I want that car, or I want that guitar, that toy guitar, or that drum set, for kids. We made those things, bro. That's how hip hop started as well. They didn't have no outlet. The New York State was cutting funding on all these other stuff that the kids could do, activities. So that's the dancing came in, the DJ thing. Oh wow, I get scratch. Oh shit, this is really cool. Because they were, I mean, what music were they playing? They were playing dance music, break beats,
yeah,
disco stuff.
yeah. Old
You know,
disco
so
records or
so
something.
that's why I'm
Yeah,
going back to like hip hop is a stew where you add different flavors to it, different genres. Hip hop come from different genres. It's a mix up of all of that. I mean, you listen to Rapper's Delight. That's a disco. That's a like that's a
yeah.
disco
Disco
vibe to it.
instrumental. Yeah, it's just disco instrumental. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the funk, the disco, and the R&B, and you even had, craft work. Hip hop like come from craft work as well. Hip hop have, like hip hop borrowed from all the genres, or even other music that we would consider white music. But if we go back, we realize it's not actually white music. It comes from black music, but maybe we kind of stereotyped it that way
Yeah.
because it was promoted and put out that way. You had your Blondie, you had all this other stuff. I mean, other music actually that people were playing. I mean, look at yeah. I mean, they were like playing, dance music, other stuff,
But
techno
but
stuff,
but still, I
go-go
want you to go
stuff.
deeper though, brother Babu. Can you go deeper about why the man or
Mm,
the woman, the young man or the young woman, with the
mm,
mic, reciting vocals, words,
mm.
poetry, ideas? Why have they been so influential?
Okay, so yeah, let me put it like because it's poetry and also it's about punchlines. It started with a punch. Oh, actually, he's actually saying something. Wow, this is really dope. Yeah, and it was about story like I went to my mom was cooking, and yo, what let's book him. Like
The
just
stories.
like basic
So
stuff.
is it the power
Yeah,
of the story then? Is it the power of the story?
yeah, so basically like poetry really, and then the poetry start having a flow, and that's like, oh, this is something really new, because other genres don't have flow. It has like kind of a cadence. Yes, bam, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. Hip hop doesn't have a lot of rules back then.
Okay,
That's what
okay.
made hip hop like still thrive. It doesn't. It's an open thing, and I mean, you can like, man, like who did like didn't someone sample? I mean, you hear like sample from other genres of kind of different music, but then the person would release a track like that and rapping, and that's a rap track, you know. But the background music could be, your Elvis or just something could be like without drums or anything, and someone's rap. So it's just so dynamic with different kind of things. That's what I'm saying. It's like a melting pot of different spices. You just blend stuff. So someone might come with their own thing. So, it's about coming about with something fresh. Hip hop is innovative. That's why hip hop's still going. The other ones, it wasn't about being innovative. It was about making a nice track that people can enjoy and wind down to or dance to with your partner and stuff like that. But hip hop comes from all of that, but it made its own thing, really.
So and
You
and
know,
all
it's
right,
like,
we're in the UK now, and whether
yeah.
we're talking about hip hop, we're talking about the late 80s, the 1990s, but by a connection, we've also mentioned reggae dancehall, right? Which is
Mm,
a kind of like part of the family tree, but also as
yeah.
well, there's other offspring as well from reggae, which is still connected to the hip hop spoken word part, which is like your drill and your grime. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of the music seems to have troubling messages or what's popular. There was a time when hip hop seemed, or spoken word, or the poetry, or the rap, or the reggae dance, so it was more responsible. The artists were, doing more social commentary and things that kind of solidify the culture. But now
Yeah.
we're in an age of, I don't know, you could say what's popular seems to be a bit nihilistic and a bit, we're in a kind of anarchistic, a time of anarchy, should I say.
Yes.
Don't you think the artists have a social responsibility?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say the people behind it has kind of held the culture hostage, you know? So without the culture, it became what it became, you know? Like, even though these people are doing drill, and we could call it drill culture, really, it's not much of a culture, man. But what kind of culture it is, really? It's about everyone sounding pretty much similar,
Hmm.
and really just saying same things, really, but they're not really saying too much. They're saying a lot of stuff, but really not saying much. Let's keep it real. So yeah, yeah. It's like you're saying a lot of stuff, but you're really not saying nothing at the end of the day, man. Like just like Ruth
You
said,
struck a
ain't
chord though. You
saying
struck a
nothing.
chord when you said about everybody sounds the same, because that's how it seems to be known from another generation. But like, I'm not questioning the a lot of the youths that are good now, like their talent.
Mm.
But everybody's talking about this. Everybody's story sounds too similar. I can't distinguish between the stories.
Yeah, yeah, because I think it's about, I think internet and all of that stuff have something to do with it as well. And also it's been held hostage by the corporate world, in
Oh.
terms of, you have to take away the culture away from it a little bit so that you can then own it and dictate what you're gonna make the masses hear. And the masses, they choosing to play and put on things that they choose. Like, okay, they dictating what's going to be hot. Back in the days, people dictated what was hot. Now, if you get funding behind you, the marketing, the pushing, the blah 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 blah, all that stuff dictates naturally.
Okay. So
Yeah,
this is where you
we
get into
we
the idea of industry
yeah
plants.
yeah
You're familiar
basically
with this term, bro, about
basically
industry plants. Are you familiar with this term, industry plants and psyops and stuff like that, where There's an argument
Uh,
to say that there's people that have been installed in the music world, in the
yeah,
rap
handless,
world,
I guess.
right?
Yeah, they could call it. Yeah, can I tell you what? Hip hop became Hollywood. That's the answer. That's
Okay,
my answer. Yeah,
okay,
hip
okay.
hop became Hollywood. So when it became, Hollywood, you get your handless. Hip hop, you get your handless. So for the
Ooh.
average guy who still want to keep it real, have his own original stuff, no one's going to be too interested in him because he might be very good, but he's not going to have a lot of those views because he don't have the backing that these other people have. Because the people that are backing those people are the one who has held it for hostage,
You're saying,
and
so you're
dictate.
saying if I'm a talented artist and you're a talented artist, but I
Yeah.
have a machine behind me, a corporation behind
Yes.
me, and you as an
Yes.
underground individual, just with your talent, I could
Yes.
I could beat you in the race, basically, to get to in the chart race, in
Easy.
terms of selling, or in terms
Easy.
of selling units.
Easy, because it's like, oh, okay, he's signed to Universal. Okay, he must be something. Oh, this guy, is he signed somewhere? No, okay, he's not signed, or maybe he might be signed to some low key underground indie label and stuff. So it's not about your talent. It's like, okay, he's very talented, la la la. But we don't push it. Back in the 90s, yes, you'll get your way because it was still fresh. So they were happy to get anything fresh to bring it on board because first they didn't want to have nothing to do with hip hop. Like, oh, don't bring me that shit. Throw that. No, sorry, I don't want to even swear, so take that one out. But but saying that. But then when they say, oh, this could make money, and I need to add someone's name, and that woman should be celebrated, especially if we celebrate 50 years of hip hop. Sylvia Robinson, Sugar Hill Records.
Yeah.
You know, she's the mother. She's the mother of hip hop for me, bro. You know what I mean? She put them on. She put Shah Rock, all these other people on. And
Okay.
those are the dads, and your and the moms of hip hop, Melly Mel, Furious Five. She put them on. So then the labels that she have relationships with, because that woman, she was a musician.
Hmm.
She was doing stuff like way before.
All right, I've got a
You
challenge.
remember
I
that?
have a challenge for you, my brother. I have a challenge for you because
Yeah.
we're running out of time. We're gonna have to come back and
Okay.
approach this at another time because it's such a deep topic and such
Okay.
a meaningful topic. I would like you in 1 minute to
Yes.
summarize your advice to a young
Mm.
rapper. He could be from North America. He could be a dancehall artist from the Caribbean. He could be a kid born in London and he's using drill, whatever their music form, but that spoken word. What would your advice be in terms of their art and in terms of the business?
Yeah, I mean, I think things will shift. I think people shouldn't be. I think it's good to believe in yourself, and I think also try to clean out your language and your music because that's going to influence other people. Just like you've been influenced, maybe you've been influenced by your 50 Cent. I don't knock him. He's good. He's talented. That's what he does. You have your De La Soul. That's not what they do, but equally talented, or for me, even more.
Hmm.
So there was different flavors, and I think they should also then try to be more brave to branch out and find their own identity and their own art within that style, but also don't buy into this swearing, this tough man. I'm a gangster. Everyone's a gangster, and everyone's kind of a banger, and everyone's in the streets. That all's going to die out. That's not going to keep selling millions eventually. But also, you are pretty much, and a lot of people don't live that life, but they want to pretend they live that. Everyone want to portray themselves to be quite this dangerous guy. No, you do nice music. Tupac was doing good music before all of that gangster stuff. Brenda Get a Baby, Keep Your Head Up, all of that excellent
Okay.
stuff, bro. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
Great music.
Uh,
And Naughty by Nature, excellent music. It was nothing about shooting you. So I think the young, what I would give them as advice, branch out. And I think I'll count I'll count its days, to be honest with you. So it's good to be a musician in general, and it's very important to study music before you were even pretty much born, and let that give you a direction. And I think clean your language a little bit.
let that give you a direction. Only because of time, my brother. We're gonna have to pause
Yes,
it there until the Most
yes,
High says we can reconvene again if destiny
yeah,
allows us.
yes.
But it's been an amazing conversation, and I really appreciate it. Hey guys, thanks for watching the podcast. And if you enjoyed it, remember to smash the like button and feel free to leave a comment, to share, and even click on the subscribe button for your free subscription. Till next time, peace.